Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the internet, The John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. This is the show where we talk about all of our favorite things in the world, movies, movie news, and all that types of good stuff. And we got a hell of a lot of things to talk about today. We got a brand new Mr. Spock, not for the movies, but for the television show. Is 2018 actually all that good of a year for Disney? MoviePass is now being sued by their own shareholders. Widows has a brand new trailer and all that type of good stuff. But before we get going, I want to make two quick announcements here. Announcement number one, don't forget, later today, Campea and Burnett, me and Robert Meyer Burnett, we have our show again this afternoon. We have changed the name from Weekly Hero. Remember, I announced to you guys several weeks ago we were going to be looking at changing the name. We were just trying to find a name. I think we have found our name, and we have changed the name of the show. It's going to be this 5:30 p.m. tonight, Pacific Standard Time. That's 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So me, Robert Meyer Burnett, talking about all of our geeky favorite movie stuff. He's going to bring in a hot toy or two. I'm going to have some stuff to show off. It's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you guys join us for that. That's at 5:30 p.m. this evening. The other announcement I want to make is that starting this month, it's going to be once in August and then twice in September. For a couple of months, we are going to test something out. We are going to have, and I'm very excited about this, and I've been meaning to do something like this for a while. Those of you might remember, I talked about this a few months ago, maybe in late 2017, but anyway, going to get it rolling now, is about twice a month. As you guys know, in the second half of the show, we take live questions via Super Chat, right? So what we're going to do is, twice a month, we're going to take a day of the show, and all proceeds that come in via Super Chat are going to be donated to women and children's shelters in Los Angeles. Now, look, there's a lot of need everywhere you look. Everywhere you turn, there is need in our world, absolutely. But some of the most vulnerable people in our culture are women and children. And there are a number of fantastic organizations in Los Angeles that deal specifically with women and children, either on the street or who are fleeing domestic abuse situations and things like that. And they need a place to stay and they need help. And there are some fantastic organizations that do that. So starting a little bit later in August, twice a month, we are going to be taking that day's open questions and taking all the proceeds from those and donating to the to those shelters. We're going to test that for a month or two and see how it goes and see how it works out. I will let you guys know in advance which days that we're going to be doing that program. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I hope you guys get excited about it. And maybe being a film fan community, we can make a little bit of a difference in some people's lives. Okay, so there's that. With that out of the way, let's get to some house cleaning stuff. As you know, almost every day here in the John Campea Show, we have a question of the day. And yesterday's question of the day was a real simple one. It was based on one of the questions that came in from one of our viewers talking about, hey, you know, Ben Affleck is going to be listed as a producer on the new Matt Reeves movie. He seems to be getting in shape. Does that mean he could be getting ready to play Batman? So we asked you guys the question of the day. Will Ben Affleck be in the new Matt Reeves movie, the new Matt Reeves Batman movie? And I'm going to tell you right now, it was the closest poll that we have ever had. Mathematically, it almost can't get any closer. Here were the results. By the razor thinnest of margins, you guys said, no, Ben Affleck will not be in the new Matt Reeves film. It'll be somebody else. 50.38% of you said, no, it'll be someone else. 49.62% of you said it will be, so 6.2% or 0.62%, something like that difference. It was I don't know that we will ever in the history of this show have a closer poll, but you guys by the thinnest of margins said no, it'll be somebody else. And that was the results of yesterday's question of the day. We got a new question of the day today, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. Also, dropping this morning, you guys know there's been a brand new film in the works called Widows that has looked absolutely fantastic. Steve McQueen, the director of 12 Years a Slave, a fantastic filmmaker, directing it. Based on a screenplay by Gillian Flynn, who of course wrote both the novel and the screenplay for Gone Girl. And that was, speaking of Ben Affleck film, magnificent movie. She wrote the screenplay, McQueen directing it. You got Viola Davis, you got Colin Farrell, Liam Neeson, John Bernthal, terrific cast. And it's about basically this group of widows because all their husbands were in this crew and they were pulling off heists and robberies and they all got killed. And now the widows of those guys are in trouble and now they need to pull off some kind of heist. That's the basic gist. Anyway, a brand new trailer for it dropped this morning and it's great. It's really, really solid. And this is 2 days in a row we're getting really solid trailers. Yesterday was the Green Book. That was a better trailer, yes. But today is Widows, and it's fantastic. It gives you a really good sense of the narrative of the story. You got a sense of these characters. You got a sense of the desperation in it. Daniel Kaluuya is in it. Of course, he was just recently in Black Panther. Of course, he starred in Get Out. It looks intense. It looks like it's going to be exciting. It looks like it's got great drama to it. I love movies about people that you don't think can overcome things, and then they overcome things. And when you look at this group of women, these widows, you think, oh, these poor little widows, but now they're going to pull something huge off. It has a really great pace to it. It's got a great tone to it. And look, I was already excited because the premise, the director, the writer, those are three big things this movie's already had going for it. And it's just really nice to see a little trailer. And granted, it's just a trailer, but still, it's nice when you can see a trailer coming together and it makes it look like it's going to live up to the potential of that premise, of that director, and of course, of that writer. And it looks like it's going to do it. Now, again, it's just a trailer. We've seen many great trailers to many a bad movie. And maybe that's the case here. Maybe this movie will be terrible. Who knows? But right now, it sounds great. And because of this trailer, I think it absolutely looks great too. But do me a favor, jump into the comment section. Have you seen that new Widows trailer yet? Let me know what you think. Again, I don't think it's quite as good as that Green Book trailer, but still, I think this is very solid. I'm very excited for this movie. Jump into the comment section below. Let me know, what do you guys think about this trailer? Are you excited about it? Did it increase your level for it? Do you think it's not all that great? Let me know what you think. All right, let's move on to one more item before we get to our main topic here, and that is the never-ending, ongoing soap opera-like drama of MoviePass. Now, we all know all the stuff that's going on with it. The shares have now dropped to 4 cents a share from at one point, well, really, it was at like $31. But after you take into consideration the 250 to 1 stock split, they said the stock value was actually once at like $8,000, and now it's at 4 cents. So that's continued going on. But apparently the people that this is really hurting the most, the shareholders, the people who bought in to this whole thing, they're now suing MoviePass. A group of shareholders are putting together a class action lawsuit to sue their own company, to sue MoviePass, claiming that they were basically lied to and there was misleading information that was put out there that led to them buying stocks in MoviePass. Now, look, it's a little boring to read text, but this is important stuff. So I'm going to read this excerpt from the story in Deadline, okay? This is important stuff. So here it is. Despite press releases touting MoviePass's subscriber growth, the suit contends that the business model was unsustainable and that it was inevitable that the parent company, Helios, would run out of cash or lose so much money as to raise questions about whether it could remain a viable business. MoviePass's business model was not sustainable because there was no reasonable basis to believe MoviePass could monetize the model to a degree that could be maintained before being too buried in debt to survive, wrote attorney Mark Levine on behalf of Braxton. Braxton, by the way, is the main shareholder who is leading this class action lawsuit on behalf of other shareholders, okay? So it goes on to say, the turning point came on July 27th when Helios disclosed a regulatory filing that it couldn't make payments to its merchants and that resulted in a service interruption. Helios' stock plummeted, losing 96% of its value since that SEC filing. False and misleading statements or material omissions caused the damages suffered by Braxton and the others' class members, the suit contends. Braxton asked the court to certify the complaint as a class action suit and to hold a trial where he and others could seek out to recover their losses. So, one of the things that I have been most upset about when it comes to MoviePass isn't, whatever, the deal does this, the deal does that. My biggest problem with MoviePass over the past number of months has been that they've been acting like a bunch of shady gangsters, trying to strong-arm studios and strong-arm this and trick people into that and trick people into this and all that kind of nonsense. And now you've actually got the shareholders saying, hey, look, you sold us a bill of goods. You made these grand promises, oh, we can do this and we can do this. When you knew that this business model was not sustainable, you were giving us false information, and we bought stocks in your company. Now, some of you might be thinking, Is it really that big of a deal if you're a shareholder? Well, let's put it this way. Most of these serious stock shareholder guys, they don't buy 10 stocks like you and me. They buy 5,000 stocks. They buy 10,000 stocks. They buy 100,000 stocks, right? So let's go back to when MoviePass started up its whole $10 a month deal, right? The stock of the company at that point was around $30. So let's say you're a serious stock player and you bought 10,000 stocks. You bought 10,000 shares of Helios and Matheson. That's MoviePass's company, okay? Here's the thing. At that time, when you bought those 10,000 shares of MoviePass back in October, the value of those shares was $300,000. So if you wanted 10,000 shares, you as a stock market guy, you put up $300,000, expecting you're going to make some money because, hey, this MoviePass company is talking about all this growth and all this good stuff's going to happen. We got this great business plan, blah, 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 blah. Today, that $30 share is worth 4 cents. 4 cents. That means if that $300,000 share you bought today is worth $400. In other words, in October, the money you spent buying MoviePass stock, you could have bought 6 BMW 540i's. You could have bought 6 of them. Today, with all your MoviePass stock, you can buy a used Xbox One X. Congratulations. I hope you enjoy Halo. So clearly it's understandable why MoviePass and the shareholders of MoviePass would be very upset, why they are looking at MoviePass saying, you sold us a false bill of goods, and now they want to sue MoviePass, the company they are part owners of, to recover a bunch of their money. Because like I said, if you bought 10,000 shares, you're out $300,000. Just like that. It's out. So anyway, that's the ongoing drama with MoviePass. All right, with that out of the way, let's get on to the main topics today. And of course, how do we select our main topics? Well, actually, you guys select our main topics by sending in your emails with your topics and questions. How do you get a topic or a question on the John Campea Show? It's really simple. You just email me anytime at john@thejohncampeashow.com. That's john@thejohncampeashow.com. Put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, keep those emails to 90 words or less. All right, let's go on with the first topic today. And the first topic today comes to us from Monster Hands Mel, who writes, I'm seeing reports that Fox Animation is keeping busy and is developing animated feature films of Bob's Burgers, Family Guy, and most importantly, another Simpsons movie. It's hard to believe that we're getting close to the show's 30th anniversary, talking about The Simpsons, and that it's been 11 years since the first film. What do you think of this news, and which of the 3 films will you be most looking forward to? All right, thanks a lot for the question, man. And yes, some reports came out yesterday that Fox Animation, having now separated with in a deal they had with DreamWorks, is right now in the process of developing 3 feature films, all based on their own IP. Bob's Burgers, which I've never really watched, but Ray, my brother-in-law Ray, he watches that thing. He loves that show, so I really should give it more of a chance. Anyway, Bob's Burgers, Family Guy, which they've potentially been talking about a movie for years, and of course, another Simpsons movie. Oh my God. Here's the strangest thing about the Simpsons movie. I remember when that Simpsons movie came out, we were like, oh my gosh, it only took you almost 20 years to do it. We were getting close to the Simpsons' 20th anniversary. And finally, they're doing a Simpsons movie. That was 11 years ago. Wrap your heads around that for a second. That was 11 years ago. And now we're talking about getting another Simpsons movie. Which, first of all, I think another Simpsons movie was inevitable. I didn't think the first Simpsons movie was fantastic, but I thought it was pretty good. I thought it definitely had some upside. I thought it was pretty good. And I'll tell you what, I'll be first in line to go see a new Simpsons movie. I'll be right there. I got to tell you, though, the one that intrigues me the most is the idea of a Family Guy movie. That's the one that intrigues me the most. Because we've heard Seth MacFarlane talk about a potential Family Guy movie before, and talking about that if they did a feature film, it would remove some of the constraints that they have of being on network television. Like they could do some R-rated stuff, right? And because some of the handcuffs would be off now. Which I think is intriguing. Now look, Family Guy is a little bit hit and miss. I watch some episodes of Family Guy and just go, okay, that was stupid. And then I watch some episodes of Family Guy and I'm like, my ribs hurt after watching it because I was laughing so hard. So it's a little bit hit and miss, but my God, when Family Guy hits, they crush it when they hit it. So I gotta say, for Ray's sake, I'm looking forward to Bob's Burgers just because I know Ray likes it so much. I'm very much looking forward to another Simpsons movie. And I think most of all, I'm probably most intrigued with a Family Guy movie. Now, what is interesting is I remember a number of years ago, Matt Groening said that he didn't think they would ever do another Simpsons movie while The Simpsons was still on TV. He talked about how much work it was to maintain the ongoing show and do a feature film. And I believe I remember him saying like 8 years ago that, yeah, I won't do that again. We'll wait until The Simpsons is no longer on TV, then we'll do another one. But hey, 8 years changes a lot of things and looks like that's what they're doing. So what do you guys think? Are you looking forward to any three of these movies? I've had some people writing to me saying, wait a minute though, Disney's going to be taking over Fox probably in the next year. So why are they making these movies? Because, as I keep telling everybody, until this thing is done, and it is not done, if you're Fox, you have to continue on with business as usual. You still have a business to run. You still have some stuff you need to do. So you keep everything going. You continue on business as usual until the final write-off from the government is signed. And that could be like another year away. So that's why they're still moving forward with stuff like this. Anyway, which one of these three are you looking forward to the most, if any at all? Jump down to the comments section and let me know what you think. All right, let's move on to main topic number 2. And the second topic today comes to us from Andrew Noskal, who writes, "Hey, John. So far this year, Disney has released some billion-dollar hits in Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, and Incredibles 2. But should Disney really be celebrating? Solo, a Star Wars story, and Ant-Man and the Wasp underperformed, A Wrinkle in Time flopped, and Christopher Robin is dying at the box office. In your opinion, how successful has Disney been so far in 2018? All right, thanks a lot for the question, Andrew. And to be fair, you do bring up a legitimate point. When we think of Disney this year and Disney films this year, yes, our eyes are instantly drawn to the newest member of the $2 billion club, Avengers Infinity War. The huge hit, the number one domestic movie of the year in Black Panther. The incredible animated triumph of Incredibles 2, yes. But, as Andrew points out, lest we forget, there's also Solo, there's also Ant-Man and the Wasp, there's Christopher Robin, which is in theaters now and struggling, and of course we've got Wrinkle in Time. I would contend, it depends on if we're talking about financially, that's a question. We'll look at that in a second. If you're talking about quality-wise, it's actually been a great year for Disney. If you're talking quality-wise, because I think Ant-Man and the Wasp was really good. I think Solo was really good. I think Christopher Robin is quite good. The one film that Disney put out this year that I thought was not any good was Wrinkle in Time. That was just a bad movie. I mean, it is what it is. It's a bad movie. So there's that. But with some of these films, despite those billion-dollar hits, some of these films are struggling. Can Disney consider this a good year? Well, let's actually look at it. In terms of films that have been profitable, Black Panther, after you consider the production costs, marketing, theater cut, and all that kind of stuff, roughly, these are rough numbers, but roughly Black Panther has made $950 million in profit. Avengers Infinity War has roughly made $1.5 billion in profit. The Incredibles 2 is hovering around a $600 million profit level, and even Ant-Man and the Wasp is pulling in a respectable $100 million profit. These are big profits, okay? Now, let's look at the other side of the thing. There's some movies that have not made any money. Most notably, of course, is Star Wars Solo, which took about a $200 million loss. A Wrinkle in Time, which took about a $200 million loss. And again, I think Wrinkle in Time is the only film on this list that isn't good, because Black Panther, Avengers, Incredible 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Solo, Star Wars Story, and Christopher Robin, I contend are all good movies. Wrinkle in Time, not so much. It lost about $200 million. And Christopher Robin lost, right now, as of right now, Christopher Robin is looking at about a $100 million deficit. That could improve a little bit, but it's going to be around a $100 million loss. So, okay, you got 4 movies that are profitable, 3 movies that aren't profitable. So it's a kind of 50-50. Well, not really, because look at the bottom line. Overall profits, $3.1 billion. Overall losses, about $500 million. You're talking about Disney in 2018 so far, when you take all their films together, collecting about $2.6 billion, not in revenue, in profit. Wrap your heads around that. Even with the underperforming of Solo, of Wrinkle in Time, of Christopher Robin, all that kind of stuff, you're still talking about a studio right now that is looking at about roughly a $2.6 billion profit. Not box profit on these films so far. To me, and again, it'll all come down to basically how do you choose to look at it? Do you choose to look at it as 4 profitable, 3 not profitable, therefore it's an okay year? Do you look at it in terms of quality? That I thought half of them were good and half of them weren't, so it's an okay year. But if you're looking at it in terms of business and you're looking at it in terms of box office success and all that kind of stuff, then to me, it's unquestionable. This is a dominant year for Disney. When you collect all your films together and overall, not revenue, but profit, you're talking about a $2.6 billion profit margin? That's crazy. That's insanely high numbers. So to me, it all depends on how you choose to look at it. But to me, when looking at it that way, it's unquestionable. It's been a dominant year for Disney. But that does lead us into today's question of the day. And the question of the day today is, how would you assess, how would you rate Disney's 2018 year so far? When looking at, all the stuff that we just talked about, how would you assess their success this year? In the description of this video, down at the bottom of the description of this video, you will find a link that takes you to today's question of the day. Just click on that link and then cast your vote. And you've got 3 options. You've got, how would you rate Disney this year? Great, they have big hits. Pretty good. Or your third option is, it's a disappointing year for them this year. I want to know what you have to say. So I just announced it. Let's go over and see. Over 160 of you have already responded. And right now, in the lead is pretty good. So 38% of you are saying it's a great year so far. 39% of you are saying it's pretty good. And about 22% of you are saying it's disappointing. So right now, great and pretty good seem to be tied neck and neck. Less than 1% is separating pretty good and great. And about 1 out of every 5 to 1 out of every 4 of you is saying it's been a disappointing year. So, hey guys, this is wide open. Again, jump down into the description of this video. Down at the bottom of the description, you will find a link to today's question of the day. Click on that link and let everybody else know, how would you rate Disney's 2018 so far? And we will, of course, get to the final results of that poll when we lead off tomorrow's John Campea show. All right, with that out of the way, let's move on to topic number 3. And topic number 3 today comes to us from Tim Moynar, who writes, "Hey John, long time, first time. Thanks so much, Tim. Like you, I really liked Star Trek Discovery. I think it was a bold new take on the lore. Anyway, I heard that they were going to get Spock onto the show, and today they announced that Ethan Peck was going to be playing him. I know he's done a lot of TV, but I'm personally not really familiar with his work. What do you think of them adding Spock to Discovery, and what do you think of Peck's casting?" All right, thanks a lot for the question, man. And yes, I am, for those of you who watched me for any period of time, I really quite like Star Trek Discovery. I really do. And it's funny because I crap talked that show for a full year before it came out. With all the drama behind the scene, the whole putting it on CBS All Access I thought was stupid. It's like, come on, why are you doing this? Nah, blah, blah. And I just talked about how I thought it was going to be bad. Well, then I watched it. And I'm like, damn, that's pretty good television. And I like it. It's not my favorite show on TV, but I think it's pretty damn solid. And when they brought in Sarek, the character Sarek, who, of course, for those of you who know your Star Trek lore, Sarek is Spock's father. When they brought in Sarek and the idea that he had this adopted human daughter, well, it's like, oh, so Spock's around at this point. I suspected we may see Spock at some point. And they've been now drawing some more connections between the original series because we've got the newest character coming on board. The new captain of the Discovery is Captain Christopher Pike, who, those of you who know your Star Trek lore, he was, of course, in the original series, and he was played by Bruce Greenwood in the new J.J. Abrams movies for a couple of movies. So we've got him in there, and now we're bringing in Spock. Now this is Gregory Peck's grandson. So this is Hollywood royalty right here. I am with you. I see he's got a lot of television credits. I have never seen him act, though. At least not that I can remember off the top of my head. So I really can't give any kind of informed opinion as to whether or not I think he'll be a good fit for Spock. I can't give an informed opinion on that. I don't know. One of the things that I did notice, and this kind of came up on Open Mic last night, is that clearly he doesn't look a lot like Leonard Nimoy. But what is funny is I see a lot of facial similarities between him and Zachary Quinto, who of course plays Spock in the J.J. Abrams series, and of course was Sylar in Heroes, one of the greatest TV villains of all time. Anyway, so I actually see some physical similarities, facial feature similarities between this guy and Zachary Quinto of the J.J. Abrams Star Trek more than Mr. Spock on the original series. Well, what do I think in general, though, of them bringing in a Spock? Well, it's actually, to me, it's a little bit of a no-brainer. Because of the longevity of Vulcans, that gives you a lot of flexibility with which era you put Spock. I mean, obviously Spock was in the original series, ability with him as a character because of how long Vulcans live, right? He is one of the most beloved Star Trek characters of all time. If Sarek is going to be kind of a central figure in your show, it stands to reason you would bring it. If Sarek is a key player in your show and Spock's adopted sister is the main character of the show, it stands to reason that at some point they're probably going to bring Spock into it. To me, I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's a good move. I think it's an interesting move. Compounding that with Captain Pike, I think it's great. Now, we don't know how they're going to use the character, right? It'll all come down, whether or not this is a good idea will really come down to how well they execute it. Because if they give Spock some kind of lame story and he comes across stupid, then it was a bad idea, right? However, if they give him a great story and they use the character well, it's going to be, proclaimed as a stroke of genius by bringing the character onto the show. It's all going to come down to the execution. I will just say this, though. As somebody who watches the show and somebody who has quite enjoyed the show, I will say I think right now this is a good move. I'm looking forward to seeing them bring this character in, and we'll see how it all works out. Of course, right now, I'm most excited about the new Jean-Luc Picard show. That's the best news coming out of Star Trek lately, but I'm looking forward to this. I think it's a good move. Let's see how it all pans out. All right, let's move on to topic number 4. And the fourth topic today comes to us from Beth Negwit, who writes, I love horror. I eat it up. And lately, I've been obsessed with the Conjuring movies. No, they're not all great, but I love them anyway. So there was a new YouTube ad playing for the upcoming The Nun, and apparently it was so shocking with a big jump scare in it that people complained and YouTube pulled the ad down. Did you hear about this, and are people just being too sensitive? It just made me want to see it even more. Well, yeah, so what she's talking about is there was a YouTube... That's a creepy picture, Ray. What are you doing? Actually, this whole thing looks creepy. So there was... we all know there's this new horror movie, The Nun, coming out that's connected with the Conjuring universe. Okay. They had an ad running on YouTube. But apparently, there's a huge jump... I haven't seen it because YouTube pulled it down. If any of you in the comments section can give me a link to where I can actually see the trailer, the ad spot for it, please do. Please throw in a link in the description or in the comment section below because I would love to see it. Anyway, apparently there is a massive scare in it, right? That apparently was so shocking and made people jump so far out of their seats that people literally complained to YouTube about it, and YouTube pulled the ad, citing that the ad violated some of their policies of this, and this. And that's fine. I'm not blaming YouTube at all. I'm not blaming YouTube at all. They have certain policies. If it broke their policies, it broke their policies. No fault on YouTube. But I did find it kind of funny that there are people who literally wrote in to complain about how shocking and scaring and how much they jumped out of their seat out of the jump scare in this particular ad spot that, again, I have not even had a chance to see yet. Now, let me put on my tinfoil conspiracy theory hat for a second. There is a part of me, however unlikely, there's a small part of my brain that wonders, was this their plan all along? I mean, seriously, was this their plan all along? That, hey, let's put together this trailer, and then let's organize, we'll have some people complain about it, and then the headline's going to be, The Nun trailer or The Nun ad, so scary, people complained and it had to be pulled off. Imagine how scary the movie's going to be. There is a part of me with the tinfoil hat and a little bit of conspiracy theory that cannot help but wonder if there's a little bit of this was all by design. Because, it's the best headline, right? The Nun ad, so shocking, YouTube had to pull it down. Like, isn't that better ad? Isn't that better marketing than just putting on a new short ad? Seriously, what gets more talk about The Nun going? A new ad in front of YouTube? Or the new ad was so shocking, YouTube had to pull it down? What generates the most buzz? Right? Clearly the whole, oh my gosh, it was so scary they had to pull it down. That generates more buzz, and that's why I've got my tinfoil hat on. So again, it's probably just a matter of, hey, yes, there's a big jump scare in it. We thought it was okay. Some people complained it got pulled down. That's probably it. That's probably the end of the story. But I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm just curious to know. Jump into the comments section. I am curious to know. Do you guys think there's anything to this tin hat conspiracy theory idea that maybe this was all by design, that maybe the studio purposefully orchestrated this so they could have the headline, like, our horror movie's ad is so scary, people had to pull it down? Jump down in the comment section. I am curious to know what you guys think about that. Let me know your thoughts. All right, let's move on now to the final email of the day. And the final email today comes to us from our good friend Thomas. And Thomas writes, why can't Marvel do standalone movies that's separate from the MCU? They only have to make it clear that it's separate from the MCU. This could be done with a separate logo with a different look called Marvel Legacy Films or something similar. All right, thanks a lot for the question, Thomason. Clearly, this comes from the whole idea that DC, Warner Brothers and DC right now, is embarking on experimenting with movies that exist outside of their ongoing cinematic universe, like the upcoming Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie that apparently, Robert De Niro is in as well. My goodness. And Zazie Beetz and all this kind of stuff. So if Warner Brothers and DC can do that, if they're willing to experiment with some standalone movies outside of their cinematic universe, well then, hell, what's stopping Marvel and what's stopping the MCU from doing something similar? What's stopping the MCU? Because there are a number of movies and stories and characters that were within the realm of the of Marvel Comics that clearly would not fit within the tone and the heartbeat of the MCU. I get that. I get it. Kevin Feige is very protective of his cinematic universe, and for good reason. And it's paid off in spades. So I get that. But within the realm of Marvel itself, there are a lot of stories and great characters and things like that that maybe don't fit within the MCU and maybe will never really get a fair shot. Why not explore this idea that DC and Warner Brothers is exploring? Why not? If you're nervous about a Blade, if you're nervous about a Blade character and how he would fit into a PG-13 world and universe, if you're nervous about your ability to do the Blade character justice the way the Blade character should be done, and you think, okay, that just doesn't fit in the MCU. Okay, fair enough. I get it. Well, why not, theoretically speaking, why not create a separate label? Marvel Worlds, or that's too close to Worlds of DC, whatever. Or, Marvel Head Scratchers, Marvel Oompa, Marvel Fart Bubbles. I don't care, whatever. A separate label where you can do some standalone stories that exist in their own universe, like most movies do. Most movies exist in their own pocket universe. So why not create a separate label where you can tell a great Blade story and done by Marvel? Why not create a separate label in its own pocket universe and tell a great R-rated Ghost Rider movie? You know, okay, fine, Kevin Feige, you don't want to do the real gritty Ghost Rider in the MCU. Okay, I get it. Okay, then why not another banner? Make some true standalone movies outside of your MCU. I suspect, and I'm not basing this on anything, this is strictly me theorizing, okay? I suspect that Marvel is going to be paying very close attention to how this movie does, to how Jared Leto's Joker movie does. And they don't have to wait long. The movie's coming out in just a little over a year from now. It's coming out in October of next year, for heaven's sakes. They're going to be shooting this movie pretty soon. So I think Marvel is probably going to be watching this very closely, because I fully believe if Warner Brothers and DC put out this standalone Joker movie and the audience responds well to it, I don't even think the movie has to make a lot of money. I think Marvel is just going to wait to see how does the audience respond to it. Did the audience get on board with this standalone pocket universe movie of the Joker that DC is doing? And I think if Kevin Feige and Marvel sit back and they see that the audience responds well to it, I'll tell you what, I think 2021, 2022, we're going to see some true standalone Marvel movies that are outside of the MCU. Now, at the same time, if this movie comes out in October of 2019 and everybody hates it, well, that shuts that down right away. Then I think for Kevin Feige, Alan Horn, and Bob Iger are going to go, well, look, the audience didn't respond to an isolated pocket universe movie. They didn't want it. So why would we do it? But if it works and gets critical acclaim and the audience seems to like it, they may go, well, hell, we've got a bunch of characters and a bunch of stories that may not fit in our MCU, but we think we can make some damn good movies out of in their own standalone pocket universe. As standalone films, maybe we can explore those. And I think maybe that could open some possibilities. But again, I think it's all going to come down to this Jared Leto Joker movie. I really do. And I think that will determine what Marvel does moving forward. If they can have a chance to actually sit back and see how the audience responds to something else, to give them a little bit of a blueprint, why not? Why not indeed? So I think it's possible. We're just going to have to wait and see. Okay, guys, that will do it for today's main topics as submitted by y'all. But we still got some time here left, so let's go over to our live questions. A bunch of you guys have already been firing in some live questions, so let's see where we're at. And we get things started today with Ben Salton, who writes, What chance are going get Flashpoint movie DCEU? I think what you're asking is, what are the chances that we're going to get a Flashpoint movie in the DCEU? I don't know. First of all, we don't even know that this Flash movie's happening. It hasn't been greenlit yet. Despite the fact that they've got writers and directors attached and all that kind of stuff, as of right now, this Flash movie hasn't been greenlit. There was talk that it was going to be a Flashpoint movie. Then there were reports that came out that said, no, DC scrapped the idea of Flashpoint. Now it's just going to be a Flash movie. But none of these reports have ever been confirmed by anybody. It was never confirmed, really, that it was truly going to be a true Flashpoint movie. And it was never confirmed that they've backtracked on that. And now it's just going to be a Flash movie. So who knows? Flashpoint offers some interesting opportunities for DC to be very flexible in their world. But I feel like it might be a little bit premature to tell a very advanced Flash story like Flashpoint when at this point we've never even had a Flash standalone movie. Like, don't get me wrong. You know, I'm the guy who says, like, hey, I think the DCU could have started with Justice League and then spun off their individual character movies. But it seems to me like Flashpoint is an advanced Flash story. It's for people who have taken Flash 101, Flash 102, and now Flashpoint is Flash 103. And it seems like it might be too much of an advanced story for the Flash character when we've never even had a first Flash movie on his own. So those are the two sides of it. On the one side, there's some very interesting things DC could do with the Flashpoint kind of movie, but on the other hand, it seems like it's too far down the road. It seems like you got to at least have one Flash standalone movie to really establish this character before you get into something that's advanced in comic lore and everything as a Flashpoint. Because, look, you show Flash, like I remember I watched the Flashpoint animated movie, which I didn't think was bad, actually. I thought, and I don't like most Marvel or DC animated stuff, but I thought the Flashpoint movie was pretty good. I watched that with Anne. And Anne has watched a lot of the Flash TV show, not very up on a lot of the Flash comics, though, other than Flash in the Injustice series. And she's like, what's going on? Why is that significant? Why is that significant? And I feel like there's going to be, and that's Anne, who watches the Flash show and who has read Flash in a few comics. And even she's like watching Flashpoint going, wait, why is that there? And what's going on? And who's that? Like, so it seems like the Flashpoint story might be a little bit too advanced at this point. At least give us one Flash movie. But if you're going to ask, is there a chance we're ever going to get it? Oh, I think so. Definitely. The question is, will it be the next movie? I have my doubts it'll be the next movie, but it very well could be. But I think inevitably we will get one at some point. All right. Jay Bling writes, got Infinity War on Blu-ray. I noticed Alan Silvestri's score is very John Williams-esque. Plus, I believe it's the only MCU movie to date with non-artistic end credit title cards. Well, yeah, I don't know if it's the only one. Because normally when an MCU movie ends, the first bit of credits are like single name credits with some artistic interpretations of scenes from the movies. And they're always very cool. I like them very much. Infinity War didn't do that. And I like that they didn't do it because of something they explained in the director's commentary. In the director's commentary, they were talking about the fact that they didn't have a mid-credit scene. Because normally there's two post-credit scenes, right? There's mid-credits, like they have their first group of credits and then a scene. And then they do all the rest of the regular credits. And at the very end, they have their end credit scene. Infinity War did not have a mid-credit scene. In the director's commentary, Joe and Anthony Russo explained that with the ending of Infinity War, they felt like they just wanted to let the audience marinate on that. Because, I mean, it's a huge, stunning ending, right? The ending of Infinity War is a huge, stunning ending. So I think they made a very good artistic choice. And they said, we thought no mid-credit scene because we really want to give the audience a couple of minutes as they wait for the end of the credits. We wanted to give the audience a couple of minutes just to sit on that, to just to sit and ponder and marinate in that shocking ending we just did. Like, we didn't want to just do Black Panther, Star-Lord, Spider-Man all dead. Here's a mid-credit scene. La la la. Like, they didn't want to do that. They just want to let people sit on that. And I think, and I'm speculating here, but I think the same is true of probably that artistic start of the credits that we normally see in MCU movies. A cool artistic rendition of Hawkeye while it says starring Jeremy Renner and blah, blah, blah. And then a thing of Black Widow starring Scarlett Johansson. I think the same reason they didn't do that is the same reason they didn't put in the mid-credit scene. I thought they wanted to have that ending of the movie and then just credits. Just let the audience sit and marinate in the vastness of that ending. And that's kind of my feeling on it. I think that's why they did it. Ben Hayusa writes, it was all bullshit. It was a damn joke. And when I think of you, this is from Wedding Singer. And when I think of you, Linda, I hope you fucking choke. I love Wedding Singer, all-time favorite Sandler movie. Wedding Singer is great. Like, I think my all-time favorite Sandler movie is probably still my top two favorite all-time Sandler movies. Is The Waterboy and Reign Over Me. Reign Over Me is not a comedy, though. It's a very serious drama in which Adam Sandler was brilliant. But those are my two favorite. But yeah, Wedding Singer, absolutely. That line, I hope you fucking... is a great line. I love Wedding Singer. It's great. It's certainly one of his great... It's man, just thinking about Waterboy and Wedding Singer and movies like that really makes me sad. Makes me sad that whatever happened to that era of great Adam Sandler comedies. Oh, it's sad when you see where he's come these days. Undecided on dinner rights. I want Venom to say to Eddie Brock, yes, I was wondering what would break first, your spirit or your body? I think there's a lot of things. I've been seeing like threads of discussions online of what people want to see in this movie. And one of the things, besides that one particular piece of dialogue, like people are wanting to see this, people want to see that, people want to see that. It really all depends, I think, even tone-wise, where they decide to go with the rating of the film. Because a lot of the stuff, it's cool hearing that line, but what I'm hearing from a lot of people about things they want to see are physical action things. I want to see Venom do this, and I want to see Venom do that. It's pretty cool seeing somebody like you, Undecided Variety, saying, okay, forget about what happens. I want to hear this line. I like that. I like that you're thinking on that level. That's really cool. All right, Ben Hayusa writes, reason I typed my message like that was because the super chat won't let me because the words, going back to the wedding singer thing. Oh, no, I totally understand that. Yeah, you didn't have to explain that, Ben. No problem. I got you. Undecided on dinner rights. I also want Carnage to say to Venom, you don't fear death. You welcome it. Your punishment must be more severe. I mean, but then again, I don't even know if we're going to get Carnage in the movie. Right? I mean, a lot of us are speculating right now. Woody Harrelson's in the movie. They're not telling us who Woody Harrelson's character is, and they're not showing Woody Harrelson in the trailer. That leads a lot of us, myself included, to speculate he clearly is going to be Cletus Cassidy, and he's going to be Venom. If he is, and that's a big if because we don't know that for sure, but if that's true, that means either they're really doing a good job hiding him in the trailers or he's just going to kind of pop up at the end. I really doubt we're going to see a Carnage Venom battle in this movie. If anything, I think this movie is going to set up Carnage for later. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Venom's going to be a setup movie. This is going to be a complete movie, but I think Riot is going to be the main antagonist. But within that complete movie, they will sow the seeds with Woody Harrelson. Again, I'm just speculating. With Woody Harrelson, they will sow the seeds for Venom later on. But I really doubt we're going to see a full-on Venom Carnage battle in this movie. It seems like this movie's already got a lot to do, and they might want to save something for a sequel. So we'll see how that all pans out. Randall Cartwright writes, with all the reboots, remakes out there, kind of makes you wonder why no one has remade the classic movie The Wizard of Oz. Well, The Wizard of Oz has had several reduxes, right? I mean, whether you're talking about the classics like, what was the one with Michael Jackson and Diana Ross? The Wiz. I think it was called The Wiz. Whether it's like a different take on it in The Wiz, there's been a bunch of animated stuff, there's been some TV stuff, but a full all-on feature film, Wizard of Oz. Barring any legal problems for doing it, which I'm not aware of. That's a risky one to do, man. Doing Wizard of Oz, that's a risk. Because it is such an all-time beloved by everybody. Like, everybody loves Wizard of Oz. So that's a tough one. And who's going to step in to play Judy Garland's role? Who's going to do that? Maybe, but like, you can't get Emily Blunt. I mean, she's too old to play Dorothy. Who's going to do that? Really? I don't know. That's a tough one. Like, you know me, I'm all for rebooting, but I will say, if I'm a studio head, and let's even say I had all the rights to do a new Wizard of Oz, I don't know that I pull the trigger on it. That's risky because it would be very expensive to make in today's terms. Very expensive film. The expectations would be through the ceiling. And it could go wrong in so many ways. It could go so wrong in so many ways. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, I'm all for them doing it, but if I'm a studio head, I would have some reservations. Let's just say that. Like, I don't know. What do you guys think? Jump down in the comments section. If you were a studio head and you had the rights to do it, would you make a Wizard of Oz remake? Let me know what you think. All right. Benny Yusuf follows up. And I watched American Werewolf in London last night in the dark. Why did I do that? Why I don't know that. Whatever. What a creepy ass movie, but I enjoyed it a lot. Why does 80s horror seem a lot creepier than modern? Well, it really all depends. I mean, look, let's face it. There was a lot of bad 80s horror. There was a lot of very bad 80s horror. So let's not over romanticize it. But yeah, I've been asked a lot lately about like, what's my all-time favorite horror movie? To me, it's American Werewolf in London. It is still to this day the only movie I cannot watch alone in the dark at night. Can't do it. Nope. And horror movies don't never scare me. 99% of the times, even horror movies I really love, they don't scare me. Like, I don't get the creeps a lot watching a movie. American Werewolf in London just scares the hell out of me. Scares the hell out of me. And even though I've seen it like 30 times and I'm a grown-ass man, I still cannot sit in a dark room at night and watch that on TV by myself. Cannot do it. Can't do it. It's just, and I don't know. I think it's because I saw it when I was so young. And maybe that's why. Maybe it's just that deep-rooted thing in me because I was so young when I watched it for the first time. But anyway, Ben, I'm glad you had a chance to watch it. I'm glad, like, stay on the road. All right, we'll stay on the road. Hey, are we still on the road? Oh, my God, you're not on the road. It just freaks the hell out of me. Okay. Tacky75 writes, allow me to break the ice. My name is Prince. And it continues. Everybody wanted to quote Batman and Robin. Well played, Tacky. Alan Palacios writes, can John Krasinski be a good Batman? I don't know. I say I don't know. Well, number one, he's a very good actor. So if they announced he was a new Batman tomorrow, I'd be all for it because he's a good actor. My one hesitation is, I've never seen John Krasinski play grim, right? We got flashes of that in A Quiet Place. He can certainly play intense. But have I seen him play grim? And I don't know. And when you understand what I think of Batman and how I think he should be portrayed, can John Krasinski do that? From an acting talent point of view, I'm going to guess from a talent point of view, yes, but I've never seen him specifically do something like that. So I would say, yes, he could. I'd have a little bit of a question mark on it, but yeah, I'll go, yes, he could make a very good Batman but it would all depend on the script. It would all depend on the story. It would all depend on the dialogue. But could John Krasinski deliver? Yeah, I believe he could deliver. History Soup writes, best Joker, Ledger, Leto, Jack, I vote Hamill. See, I've never been on board for the Mark Hamill thing as the best Joker, because he's not even really the Joker. He's just gone into a voice booth, and that's half of it. But it's only half. It's only half. Is he the best animated Joker of all time? Obviously. But when you're talking about people who embodied and brought an incarnation of the Joker to life, you cannot just throw away the physical representation of it and how they physically acted it. So while I love Mark Hamill, absolutely, man, I don't know. I often go back and forth between Ledger and Jax. Because seriously, I rewatched that original Batman about a year ago. Jack's Joker is great. It's a very different Joker from Ledger's Joker for sure. But Jack's Joker is amazing. Like, I still get chills when he says that line, you ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? What does that mean? I don't know, it's just something I thought sounds good, or whatever the line was specifically out there. It's just, whatever. And there's such a whimsy that Jack brought to the character. And that whimsy is something that I think a lot of other Jokers have not given us. And, I mean, obviously Ledger's Joker is beyond brilliant. You know what? I'll probably lean Ledger's Joker, but don't just discount Jack's Joker. Like, really go back and watch Jack's Joker. It's a great Joker. So check that out. Sebastian writes, $104.6 million losses. MoviePass owner Helios just announced. I believe it was actually like $121 million was the actual thing in the filings, but that came across a little bit earlier. Sebastian follows up, AMC A-list literally carpet bomb MoviePass. Maybe nuked. You know what? No. MoviePass was dying before AMC A-list came out. MoviePass was in its free fall already. AMC didn't need to launch A-list for MoviePass to die. It was already in its free fall. It was burning around $40 million a month. And that had nothing to do with AMC A-list. They were in financial free fall before A-list ever launched. That's why when some people say to me, I think AMC only launched A-list to sync MoviePass, and what I respond to them is, folks, think about it. They didn't need to do that. MoviePass was dying already. It's like if somebody's in the hospital with like they had a gunshot wound and they're going to die. They're going to die any minute now. You don't hire a hitman to go in and kill him. Why? He's literally about to die. He's going to be dead any minute now. You don't need to send in a hitman. AMC never needed to launch A-list. Like, there's some people like, AMC just did that to kill MoviePass. MoviePass was going to be dead any day now anyway. So I honestly don't think, Sebastian, that it was A-list. Sebastian follows up one more time. You remember when 100 million equaled a blockbuster? Now 1 billion. Well, I mean, I don't think 100 million worldwide was ever considered a blockbuster. 100 million domestic. Like, if you make $100 million domestically, that has been considered a hit. And I think even still today it is. Depending on the movie and how big and huge of a budget your movie is. But I think a lot of movies still today, domestically, if you hit $100 million, as long as you're not like some huge $175 million blockbuster, if your movie hits $100 million domestic, you'd probably be considered a hit. Because then you add on top of that international whatever, and your budget was probably reasonable and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, well now like the mark of a true mega hit is the $1 billion club. You hit the $1 billion club, you are a verified mega hit. Yeah, it is crazy how times have changed, and mostly because studios are way out of control with their spending. But that's another topic for another time. All right, let's see here. Ben Sultan writes, there any chance that Universal gives back the distribution rights to the Hulk? No chance in hell. No. Why would they? Why would you? Why would I? If I had the distribution rights to the Hulk, I ain't giving them back. No way. No chance in hell. Why the hell would I do that? Now, if you're saying, would they give them back in exchange for something? I'm sure the table is open. I'm sure, like, if Marvel went to Universal and said, we will give you $1 billion to give us back the distribution rights to the Hulk. I'm sure at that point Universal will go, done, sure. But that's a big amount of money. That Marvel's not going to offer that. It's not worth that much for distribution rights. Remember the situation as it is. Marvel can make a standalone Hulk movie if they want. They can make a standalone Hulk movie. The only problem is Universal would then get to distribute the film and not Disney. That's how so Marvel is free to make a Hulk movie. They just have to accept that, hey, if we make this Hulk movie, we got to partner with Universal to be the distributor. Nobody is stopping Marvel from making a Hulk movie. It's just that Marvel doesn't want to play ball with Universal and doesn't want Universal to distribute. And I get that. That's fine. They want to distribute their own films. But if I'm Universal, it's not costing me anything to hold on to these Hulk distribution rights. Why the hell would I give them back? No way they give them back. Not without adequate compensation. And if Marvel offers adequate compensation, then fine. Here, take it back. But until then, I have no reason to give them back to you, so I'm going to sit on them. The ball's in Marvel's court. Marvel can make a movie if they want, and Marvel can get the rights back if they want, if they offer a reasonable deal. Until then, Universal's just going to sit on those damn things, and I would too. Akeem writes, good morning, John. I'm wondering, how do movie production companies make money from movie passes like A-List? I've seen 22 movies in 6 weeks, and all for $40. All right, well, technically you shouldn't have seen 22 movies because A-List has a limit of 3 movies per week. So theoretically you should have seen 18 movies, but whatever, your counting's off, whatever. The way A-List works is they count, if you use A-List to see a movie, AMC counts that as one ticket costing $9 or $8.99, which is right around where the national average is for the cost of a ticket. So they do their calculations based on that. So let's say you saw 10 movies, then AMC would count that as $80 of box office. And then they would distribute that money out the way they would normally. So even if your theater costs $15 for a ticket, like my theater does, AMC just counts it as the national average, $8.99 for the ticket. And then the movie studios will get back their 66% on $8.99 instead of $15. The movie studios can say, But wait, the movie ticket value was $15, but AMC would say, yeah, but they wouldn't have bought a ticket at all if it wasn't for AMC A-List, so just be happy you're getting 2/3 of $9. And the studios go, oh yeah, that's a good point, thank you. So anyway, that's basically how they work the math out. Brad Timms writes, if Aquaman and Shazam are as good as we hope, would you still say DC has to reboot their films? I'd still rather see a Man of Steel sequel than a reboot. But, okay, here's the problem, Brad. I would love to see a Man of Steel sequel too. But you're sacrificing the overall health of an entire movie universe for the sake of, oh, I want to get this one movie. You know? Look, I think it's already pretty clear that Walter Hamada is not planning on rebooting the franchise. I think that's clear at this point. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe he'll surprise us and he does reboot the series. I don't know. But here's the problem. Even if Aquaman and Shazam are good, and those are big ifs, I think they look great. I'm very much looking forward to them, but those are still big ifs. We don't know if they're going to be any good. But if they are, it doesn't change the fact that the main problem for DC right now is the audience has abandoned the DCEU. Look, there's no other way to get around that. When you put out your Justice League movie, which is supposed to be your Avengers, and you put out Justice League, which is the culmination of everything, that is supposed to be your biggest movie, and it becomes your least attended movie, that means the audience has given up on you. You've got to find a convincing way to convince them to get back on board. I still contend the best and most effective way to do that, and history has proved this is the most effective way to do it, is to restart. That is the best way to convince people to get back on board and give it another chance. History has proved that over and over and over again. So even if Shazam is good, and even if Aquaman is good, I'm not sure that saves the DCEU. I'm just not sure at this point. But, you know, who knows? It's a big... But the bottom line here is I don't think they're rebooting anyway, so the point's kind of moot. I think Walter Hamada's made it clear they're not going to be rebooting. He's got a plan. I don't know what the plan is yet, but he clearly has a plan. So we'll have to see how that all works out. But again, what I would not say, what I think is very unwise, is to say, oh, let's throw away this billion-dollar franchise, this multi-billion-dollar DCEU thing. Let's let it lose us money and let's let it falter and fail just so I can get this one movie. That's called being penny wise but dollar foolish, right? That's like saying, oh, I've got this car, it's a piece of crap, it doesn't start half the time. When it does, it always breaks down, the tires are always flat, blah, blah, blah. But I can't get rid of the car because I love the steering wheel. The steering wheel's amazing. I can't get rid of this car, I just love the steering wheel too much. It's like, You're going to sacrifice your whole car just so you can... That's what I think is like, look, I want a Man of Steel 2 as well. Man of Steel is one of my all-time favorite comic book movies. But we shouldn't sacrifice the overall health of an entire cinematic universe for the sake of one movie. But again, the point's moot because they are not rebooting. I think that's pretty clear at this point. And we're going to move ahead now. Let's just keep our fingers crossed for Aquaman and Shazam. I thought those trailers kicked serious ass. I am so excited about both of those films. So let's see how it does. More importantly, let's see if the audience gets back on board with them. Because they already got guys like you and me, clearly. But will they get the rest of the audience back on board with it? That's going to be the question. All right, let's see. Brad Timms follows up with, are as good as we hope. No, I got it, Brad. No problems. Antonio DeGrandis writes, hey, John, have you ever watched the TV show Colony? I think the first 3 seasons are great. It stars Sarah Wing Callies from Prison Break. It also had the guy from Lost on it. I have never watched it. I remember once back at a previous place that I worked, the studio behind that show, The Colony, actually came to us and offered to pay us to do an after show. For that. They did. Seriously. They came and said, hey, we'll pay you this amount of money if you do an after show for Colony. And we considered it. But it just never worked out. But I don't think it was enough for the amount of energy. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not like they were coming to us and we'll give you $1 million. No, nothing like that. But they were just wanting some exposure. They wanted some exposure. They wanted people to talk about their show. And by the way, they never came to us and said, watch our show, do after shows, and make sure you say good things about it. No. They were like, hey, if you like it, if you don't like it, that's fine. We were just hoping you would do an after show for this. And if it's going to cost you some money, maybe we can put up some money for it. It was totally above board, totally cool, totally fair. But we just didn't end up doing it. So no, I've never really watched the show. Ryan Lavin writes, is Highlander reboot ever going to happen? They keep saying it's going to happen. One of the directors from John Wick is said he's been working on it for a long time. They said they got their ideas. They say it's absolutely happening, but they've been saying that for a while. So at this point, if I had to guess, I will guess that they are still going to do it, but I wouldn't put money on it. Like, I'm guessing it's still going to happen, but I wouldn't put money on it because he, as a director, is getting busier. Because David Leitch, he's getting busier and busier as a director. I haven't heard them say a lot about it recently, although the last time he talked about it, he still said, yep, this is happening. Gonna have to wait and see, I guess. Sharon Aurora writes, hey, Freeze, the heat is on again with the you guys. What is with it? Preston Walden writes, have you ever thought about doing a React segment on Fine Brothers Entertainment? I think it would be a good way to also advertise your channel. Look, first of all, you guys know I am friends with the Fine Brothers. Actually, their CFO and Senior Vice President, Johnny Green, also known as Soul Video around here, is one of my absolute best friends in Los Angeles. Been friends with him for almost 10 years. He and I have been friends. He was just over at my house on Sunday night. He's in our Dungeons and Dragons group. And I love Benny and Rafi. I've known them for almost 10 years as well, long before there was ever FBE, Fine Brothers Entertainment. But that's not me. Doing the React stuff is not me. And would it be great advertising? Yeah, but I'm not going to do stuff like that just to get advertising for my channel. I mean, that's just not me. I love the guys. I love what they do. I'm in awe of what they do. Like, millions of subscribers. They're one of the most powerful. I mean, they got invited to the White House, for heaven's sakes, to go and meet with President Obama. I mean, it's great because they're such influencers with younger generation. And I madly respect what they do. But no, that's not something for me. That's not something I'd want to do. Fair question though. Carrie Ann Douglas writes, yeah, Neil Peart's my dad / idol. He's a drummer too. Man, Neil, play the drum solo of life. That's from the Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie. Man, I was just watching, Rush came up yesterday on one of the shows. And I couldn't help it. After I was done the show, I popped open YouTube and had to watch a couple of Rush music videos. Those dudes are sick good. Like, from the guitar to the bass to obviously Neil on the drums. It just iconic. So iconic. Let's see. Kieran follows up. Mulan 2020 first look. Maeve already been covered. Well, I mean, so much of a first look. Look, they started shooting the movie. The live action Mulan, which some people started wondering, are they ever going to make this thing? They have now started shooting. It's official. They're shooting. And they put out this picture of just the lead girl standing in a pose. I don't really know what there is to cover about it. You know what I mean? So I didn't really talk about the picture because it's just a picture of the girl standing there in a pose. I mean, they started shooting the movie. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun, but there's really nothing to talk about right now. So I didn't cover it. But yes, if those of you are curious about it, do a quick search on Google for Mulan live action first picture, and you'll find the picture. And it's a cool little picture, but again, not really something I thought we could talk about. All right. Final question of the, well, I'll take two more. Nebula's fault that Quill lost it. She could have fibbed. Well, no, it's not Nebula's fault. It's nobody's fault for somebody else's actions. And it's not like she knew, she figured it out. As I'm pretty sure Quill was about to figure it out. Where is she? I think he knew. And remember, she didn't know that she was dead. Nebula just speculated. But even then, though she speculated out loud, that's still Quill's decision to do what he's going to do. And I thought what he did was very, very human. Like, a lot of people are mad at Star-Lord for but he did a very human thing. And it was no worse than what Tony Stark did in Civil War. Like, when Tony found out what Winter Soldier did to his parents, it didn't matter that it wasn't his fault. It didn't matter that he was brainwashed and being controlled. It didn't matter. He threw logic out the window. Tony threw logic out the window and was just overwhelmed with the pure anger of the situation. And his parents died 20 years ago. Right? And he still decided to go at Winter Soldier and Captain America. Right? So how can you give Iron Man a pass on that when Star-Lord just found out the love of his life has been killed by this jerk, right? How can you blame him? And by the way, for everybody who blames what happens in Infinity War on Star-Lord, remember, that was all going to happen anyway, right? Doctor Strange foresaw 14 million possible outcomes, and they all led to the same thing except for one. So, and since they're on the one potential path that could save everything, Star-Lord needed to punch Thanos in the face. If he didn't punch Thanos in the face, it would have been one of the other 14 million possibilities that they all lose, right? So Star-Lord may have actually just saved the universe by punching Thanos in the face. Keep that in mind. All right, final question of the day. And the final question of the day comes to us from Thomas Dixon, who writes, I think you have similar views, but I really dislike the mechanical / electronic nature of Spider-Man's suit in the newest films. Just want the regular suit. It almost ruins some aspects for me. Dude, you may be a new viewer, Thomas. I have been talking for a while about I love Spider-Man Homecoming. I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I really enjoy Marvel's Spider-Man Incarnation a lot. The one thing that sticks in my jaw a little bit, though, is making him Iron Man Jr. Because that's what they've done. They've made him Iron Man Jr. Oh, you're Spider-Man? You're not cool enough to be in the MCU. You need an Iron Man suit, but I'm Spider-Man. I'm one of the most beloved, powerful, popular comic book characters of all time. Nah, you need an Iron Man suit. But don't worry, we'll make it look like a Spider-Man suit, but it's really an Iron Man suit. Congratulations. But I don't need this. I'm Spider-Man. Nah, you need to be Iron Man Jr. That has driven me crazy. I am so hoping that when we get into Spider-Man Far From Home, Peter just goes, this is not me. I am not Iron Man. I am Spider-Man, and just dons a regular Spider-Man costume. Because that is one thing to me that has really, really bothered me about this whole thing. It's just the Iron Man Jr. And to those of you who go, oh, but John, he needed the Iron Man suit because in the outer space, they only wrote it that way. You could have written it that he got to the ship and got inside the ship before they hit the atmosphere. There, no problem. Problem solved. Didn't have to have an Iron Man Jr. suit. But anyway, they only wrote it to make it necessary. Anyway, that's just the way I feel about it. Okay, guys. By the way, there are still a few other questions that have been sent in from 23 Mark all the way down. Don't you worry. I'm going to collect those questions up, and these questions will get answered in a video on one of our companion videos over the next couple of days. Keep your eyes open for that. So from Mark B all the way down, if you've sent in a question, it will get answered in a companion video coming up in the next couple of days. Keep your eyes open for that. All right, guys. That will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Don't forget two things. 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, we've got open mic, which is all open questions. But then at 5:30, right now I'll call it Campea and Burnett. Campea and Burnett. Me and Robert Meyer Burnett on talking about stuff in the world of geek movies and stuff like that. Very excited about it. I'm sure he's going to bring in a hot toy or two. I'm going to have some things to show off. That's going to be at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we will be revealing the new name of the show at that time. So make sure you join us for that. And also, guys, listen, do me a favor. Big stuff if you want to support the channel. Click the thumbs up button. It's a little thing, but it's a big thing. Click the thumbs up button if you like this video. But also, leave your thoughts down below. Give your opinion on any one of the topics that we discussed here today. I want to hear what you guys have to say. All right, guys, that will do it for me for today. Thanks a lot for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.